There is no God except Allah. A glance at world history makes it clear beyond doubt that, in every country of the world, and in every age, all the prophets, reformers, guides and founders of religions had belief in one God. And all of them made all-out efforts to convince their people of the existence of one elevated creator. Although Adam, Noah, Ibrahim, Abraham, Musa, Moses, and Muhammad lived in ages hundreds and thousands of years far from one another, but their teachings had oneness of the Creator as the common factor. Krishnji, Ramchandraji, Gautama Buddha and Guru Nanak happened to be in India, Kaikbad and Zoroaster in Iran, Confucius in China, Luqman in Greece, Yusuf, Joseph, in Egypt, Lut in Syria and Palestine. But oneness of God lies at the base of the teachings of all. Almost all men and children, old and young, male and female, Christians and Jews believe in Allah the Almighty. Maybe, some people in very small number, refuse to utter the name of God. But within their hearts they too feel His presence. They have to admit that this process of cause and effect goes on created and supervised by some power wise to the extreme. This wise and well-intentioned one is known as Allah the Almighty. None but the insane can reject the unanimous belief of the men of intellect and the magnificent creation of Allah the Almighty. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. The magnificent kingdom of Rome had already been broken into pieces, and its semi-brute laws and constitution had become distorted enough to wipe out whatever good points happened to be therein. Persian Empire had become the storehouse of corruption and atrocities. China and Turkestan appeared to be the haven of bloodshed and ferocity. In India, the administrations of Asoka and Kanishk were non-existent. None could even think of the reign of Maharaja Vikramadjit, nor was there any model of Buddhism nor of Brahmanism. Those paying respects to Buddha would commit amply shameful acts for the sake of power and worldly comforts or out of weakness in belief. Those reading the rosary of Sri Krishna had no hesitation in making men the most honorable among the created things to prostrate before the vegetables and the stones. If Europe was like a forest with its men as bloodthirsty and ferocious as the beasts, the whole of Arabia had been reduced to the state of animality. In short, nowhere in the world human race appeared sticking to its pure quality of humanness and nobility. In a situation when the entire world had turned dark and dismal, it was the duty of the people of India to ponder over the 4th chapter of Gita, where Sri Krishna Maharaj says, "O Arjun, whenever faith falls in jeopardy and faithlessness grows, provide safety to the virtuous and establish faith by wiping the evils out." It was the sheer duty of the Persians to come out in search of a guide, as per the dictates of Zoroaster. It was for the Jews to wait for the appearance of the light from the peaks of the Faran range and held themselves back from Stopper Stone becoming the cornerstone. It was the bounden duty of the Christians to make the prayer of Ibrahim, Abraham, and the glad tidings of Jesus, center of their hope. But the global corruption and disruption and all-round darkness had caused human eyes to become so dark and blind that nobody was conscious enough to take himself to be ailing and go ahead for any medicine. In such an age and in a territory like Arabia, Muhammad rose to remove the mischief of polytheism, darkness of idolatry, pollution of corruption and disruption and defilement of vices and shamelessness, and raising the voice of La ilaha illallah, he performed his singular and sacred duty of making men out of men like people, and men to be men of high morals. and such noble people to be men of God to change darkness into light. Righteousness, peace, uprightness and virtue, and carve pure Muslims out of the deviated, idolaters and evil persons. Noah was forced by the circumstances to do them away with the sword of my Lord. Leave not one of the disbelievers on the earth. 71:26 After his relentless efforts of hundreds of years to bring the deviated people of Iraq and Arabia back to the right path, Musa tried hard to show the Egyptians and the arrogant king the right path. But at last, Musa, Moses, and children of Israel saw the sight, about which the noble Quran then said, and drowned Pharaoh's people while you were looking at them, when the sea water covered them. 250 It is for this that Maharaja Ramchandraji invaded Lanka and fought with the demons, and Sri Krishan Maharaj persuaded Arjuna to fight in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and had to destroy the defying Kurus at the hands of the Pandus. In Iran, Zoroaster made the wrestling of Isfandiyar and the empire of Kiani the base of his preaching and propagation of his faith. But ancient scriptures and sociological traditions reaching the erudite scholars are unanimous that all the revered founders of religions and honorable guides in the way of righteousness have no example to show that. In a short span of less than 25 years, the worst country and the ignorant and brute people became the teachers and the most civilized and well-mannered people on the earth. In less than 100 years, in 80 years only, the followers of the faith brought by Muhammad encompassed an area ranging from the Atlantic Ocean to Pacific Ocean, up to the eastern coast of China, and, to say, the whole of the civilized world. This world of ours cannot present any other example of this miraculous success. And if the teaching of Islam is superior to all other religious codes and doctrines for its supreme qualities, who can then question the status of Muhammad being the best of all mankind, the seal of the prophets and the mercy for the world? And who can muster the courage to challenge the divine claim for the glorious Quran brought by the Prophet to be matchless and irrefutable? As the Quran says, "Verily, it is we who have sent down the Dhikr, the Quran, and surely we will guard it from corruption." 15:9 History stands as the most effective and valuable source of putting nations on the course of progress and prosperity and saving them from the path of disgrace and degradation. Whenever nations have gone up to great heights, they have achieved inspiration from nothing but history. The noble Quran has also told us that the study of history was quite essential for human grace and success in this world and the hereafter. The events of the past nations remind us that such and such nations bore the brunt of their evil deeds while some others achieved grand success on account of their good deeds. Events of Adam, Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, and others in the plights of Pharaoh, Nimrod, and the mud have not been mentioned in the noble Quran for the sake of amusement and entertainment and to bring about sleep, but for producing in us the courage to perform good deeds and keep away from misdeeds, and changing our present into a bright future. The prophets who have happened to be the greatest well-wishers and most affectionate of all for mankind, have always reminded them of their past history to save them from destruction. None among the great leaders and reformers of the world appears to have ignored the past conditions and events in bringing about alertness and consciousness among the unconscious and self-denying people of their times. It is because of this, every sermonizer or speaker has recourse to interesting historical events to encourage and activate their audience. Among the past heroes too, we refer those who are closely related to us nationally and religiously, and they exert more influence on our lives. The study of the lives and deeds of Rustam, Isfandiyar, and Gustap can arouse sense of religious zeal, justice and equity more for the Iranians and Parsis than the Jains or Indians. Similarly, the stories of Bhim, Arjun, Vikramadjit, and Prithvi Raj influenced the Hindus far more than the Christian. Today, when they have become aware of the influences and consequences of the histories of nations and the fact has come to light that this is the only way of bringing a nation back to life and keep it alive, we see with our naked eyes that those nations which are bereft of glorious histories, present concocted stories and fabricated fictions in the name of their histories studded with sparkling events and scintillating accounts fill the minds and hearts of the individuals and youths of their nations so that they come to believe them. These shameless efforts of transforming wrong into right go on just for the sake of convincing their people of their past grandeur without which no nation could be aroused to compete with others in the race of achieving excellence in various fields of human life and development. This is the reason why the nation antagonistic and hostile to another one tries to distort its history and render its men ignorant of and careless about their history.